is less of a risk right now than them being left with Anthony. And I'm not saying the kids should be left with a stranger on Craigslist, but they also are not a hamster. So this is a dire situation, and I don't know what to do. Those of you like me who've met people like Anthony, the more they get away with doing these horrific things, it almost gives them a high. That part of the frontal lobe of their brain where pleasure lights up, it lights up when they get away with things like that, like this. It makes them feel powerful. So this is just, I don't know what else to say. I have to go get my kids from school right now. But I'm shocked, and the kids deserve better, obviously. We have to do something for Katelyn.
Hey y'all, it is October the 27th, 2019. Y'all, I wanted to play that small excerpt from this video. I just seen it today. If you want to see the video in its entirety, of course you can go to where I'm at right now, Celeste Who Knows on YouTube. The video is titled, and it's pretty recent, the video is titled Katelyn Nicole Davis's younger siblings were sent where? And I'm not going to get too far into the details as far as Katelyn Nicole Davis goes, and just assume that, you know, most people understand the basic story of Katelyn Nicole Davis and are aware of, you know, much of the details in regarding Katelyn Nicole Davis. All right. I'm just going to assume that people don't know. And if you don't know, then you can go ahead and look it up. It's, you know, just type in Katelyn Nicole Davis on YouTube. You can find out whatever you want. But for the benefit of those who already do kind of know basically what's happening with Katelyn Nicole Davis, what happened with Katelyn Nicole Davis and her story, I wanted to bring up this recent update that was brought to us by Celeste Who Knows. And before I go any further, Celeste Who Knows, I really appreciate her for her coverage of Katelyn Nicole Davis. Among other things, I mean, she does have like other video topics and stuff that, you know, aren't always like my cup of tea or whatever, but as you can tell, you know, I check up on them. I like to look at them and stuff, and more actually, I like to listen to them and stuff because I have a hard time watching videos, right? But this particular video was an update. Now, as you'll recall, if you're familiar with Katelyn Nicole Davis, she had two younger siblings. All right, and if I'm not mistaken, their names are AJ and Abby. All right, a little boy and a little girl. 1 second. All right, so she had two younger siblings, real young. All right, and they wound up getting, I guess, from what I understand, shuffled around. The reason is, for the most part, and I'm just assuming, that their mother, whose name is Tammy Michelle, was not adequate. She didn't have what it takes to be watching after her children, right, basically. And that was the case even before Katelyn Nicole Davis had a, you know, that tragic situation. All right. So the kids, they wound up getting shuffled around, I suppose, and they wound up in the care of their grandmother. Now that would be Tammy Rogers' her mother. All right, and I forget that lady's name actually. I don't know if it says in the description. No, I don't know. But, okay, so those young kids were put in the care of Tammy Michelle's own mother, right? Where's Tammy Michelle? I don't know. Running the streets? I don't know. But that might be a good guess. All right, popping pills? I really don't know. But it might be a good guess. All I know is she really can't take care of her children, apparently. I don't want to get too far into it, but as it seems from the update, is that the young kids can no longer stay with the grandma. All All right. And it appears that she's heartbroken over this, but she says that in her old age, she's like 70 going on 80, that she can't do it. She can't do it no more. And I couldn't say one way or another. I mean, that might be the case. Maybe it's not the case, but it might be the case. I mean, when you consider 70-year-old folks out these days and 70 and 80-year-old folks out there these days, they got health problems, yo. Like they look older than they actually are, man. They're all run down, and it's unfortunate. All right, but a lot of these 80-year-old people are just there's not much that they can do. Right, to be honest, I don't know if that's the case, but maybe it is the case. And so with that being said, the kids had to be moved. Where did they get moved? Well, according to this video, according to the update, they actually got moved back with their father. That would be the Anthony Lee Rogers. Now, y'all probably already know, but Anthony Lee Rogers had been accused of not only molesting Katelyn Nicole Davis, by Katelyn Nicole Davis, but she also accused him of basically being very inappropriate with his own children, AJ and Abby. All right, and I heard, you know, stories of him being very inappropriate with other people. All right, and I don't even know all the people, but it's just to say that he's been accused of being inappropriate with all sort of people. All right, young people, children. And so I guess the kids, from what it seems, are given back to his custody. And it might seem like a disaster to y'all out there. Right? I would totally agree. Yeah, that's a disaster. That's a disaster in the making. Right? And the thing is about Celeste's video, and a lot of her videos, I want to say right now, is that I pretty much totally agree with everything that she said. Right? I find her analysis to be fairly spot on. All right, you really couldn't ask for any better. But I did want to add on to it a little bit. And that, you know, who's to say exactly why the grandma just couldn't handle it no more and had to give the kids over to Anthony Lee Rogers? Who's to say? Was there anybody else who would have been better suited for that endeavor? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. All right. And in fact, you know, I'd be willing to bet that there's probably not too many options on the table. And it's quite unfortunate, right? These two young kids were put in between a rock and a hard place, and they're too young to even understand it. And not only that, you know, a lot of people might be apt to think, oh, well, the state should get involved, this and that, child services, protective services, and this and that. What I gotta explain is there's probably just so many wonderful foster parents out there. There's probably so many wonderful child services people out there, right? That being stated, that is not a world I'd want to get involved in. And I've heard and I've seen certain goings on, and the thing is, there's a lot of scandalous stuff going on in that, right? In fact, more than you would like to imagine. Children are being exploited and abused through this foster care system. So the idea of giving them up to the state and letting the state go ahead and take care of it, I doubt it. I really doubt it. All right. That being said, them being given to the custody of their father, that also sounds pretty bad. But it's an example of children, and we're probably going to showcase this a lot on this channel. We already have. It's an example of children who, for all intents and purposes, in every sense of the word, are helpless. They can't do nothing for themselves. There's not a hotline that they can call. There's not a person that they can run to. Because inevitably they have to go back home. Where is their home? I don't know. Wherever it is, people decide where it is. Okay, they're in an extremely, I believe it was called a dire situation. Yeah, it is. It's very dire. All right. What can we do about it? All right. Celeste actually, at the end of her video, she I forget what exactly she said, but she said like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Something like that. And I believe all of us have come to that point at least once in our lifetime in consideration for these children out here who just have no choice. who have to march into the abyss not knowing what is in store for them and having no ways of defending themselves from whatever's in store for them. At a certain point, you think in your head, what can I do? There's got to be something. And then you rack your brain, and most times you figure out, no, there's nothing that you can do. Literally, whether you wanted to or not, whether you had all the time in the world or not, it's probably nothing you could do for the most part. Because not only is it AJ and Abby, it's an unending amount of children who are in a very similar spot. And we really just can't save them all, right? And I wanted to point that out. Extremely helpless. They need our help. We don't know how to help. We don't know how to intervene. And part of our spirit cries out for that. Part of our spirit is just saying, hey, we need to stop this. All right. So with that being said, I want to segue into more of the solutions oriented. That was the update part of the video. And I want to get more to solutions. And I mentioned it before. I think we're going to stick with it. As far as Katelyn Nicole Davis's story goes, it's a very strong one. It's very profound. It's also very abundantly accessible on the internet and stuff like that. It's put on blast. You can see every detail of Katelyn Nicole Davis's videos, and certainly they show you something worth noting. They're very enlightening, right? They're very enlightening in that sense. And it's for that reason that I wanted to use Katelyn Nicole Davis's story and her memory in order to fight against the societal dysfunction of even allowing this to happen in our midst. Right? Not to say facilitating it, but basically turning a blind eye to it. I want to break down because these situations go way back. All right, sometimes you got to dig real deep in order to find the origins of what went wrong here. Of course, everything went wrong here. But where did things start going wrong? That's what I think we want to get to the bottom of. And before I play this quick clip that I want to play for y'all, it's actually in a video that I seen a little while back. It's this video right here. Okay, Katelyn Nicole Davis, today would be her 15th birthday. This is on Celeste Who Knows channel. I want to play for you this little bit of video. Before I get into that, like I mentioned just a second ago, everybody's story, to include myself, to include Katelyn Nicole Davis, to include everybody else out there, your story of your life, it begins before you're born. Right? I know a lot of people wouldn't be surprised by that, but truly it does. Right? Sometimes you have to go way back to figure out, okay, where does this problem start? It didn't start with you as a baby. All right? The problem started probably before you were born. Right? And it's hard. You gotta dig. You gotta do research on your own self, on your own family tree sometimes, to figure out why it is exactly that you're messed up in your head. All right. If you recognize that you do things that are messed up and stuff like that, you might want to figure out why. And you probably could figure out why by going back in time. All right. Because typically these things are generational. These struggles, these curses, suicide itself, that tendency can be generational. Right, can carry on throughout generations, which is what it did. I do want to draw light to a little known detail. I'm sure a lot of people know it out there, but a lot of people don't. Is I want to bring light to Katelyn Nicole Davis's grandfather. Right, because if I understand correctly, I don't know too much of the details, but if I understand correctly, Katelyn Nicole Davis's grandfather actually committed suicide. I could be wrong by that, and if I am, please correct me in the comments and everything, but that's what I understand happened. All right. So as far as Katelyn Nicole's grandmother, she might be a great person. I really don't know her. I couldn't tell you. But I couldn't help but want to ask her, well, what's the deal with that? How come, if I understand correctly, your husband committed suicide? What exactly was going wrong there? But of course, nobody will ask that. It's too far back in the Wayback Machine, but also it seemed as like disrespectful, right? But we're finding out that these problems go way back. They go generationally. All right. So that is something to be taken note of. And the question becomes, was there a breakdown in that family? Why would he do that? What kind of situation was he in? And did his wife at the time, did she help out in that? What was the situation? How wild was it? What was going on? What are the details? That honestly is one of the things that we need to get down to the bottom of if we were to try to go to the beginning of the story of Katelyn Nicole Davis, for sure. Okay. But I also wanted to point out, before I play this video, and it's what I want to stress to people, is, first of all, Katelyn Nicole Davis had a relationship with God, with Jesus. And she didn't make she didn't stutter about that. She wasn't like hesitant about talking about that. And I want to point that out. All right, and I'm going to continue to point that out to the chagrin of some people. Like, I bet you like there's people out there who don't like it when I say that, but that's all right. I wanted to point that out because I think it's very important. I think her relationship with her Lord and Savior, as she described it, is very important. And then secondly, I wanted to point out that, okay, the type of morality, and I want to be real brief as possible. We're gonna elaborate on this more in the future, but just so that I can wind up this video, the type of morality that's described in the Bible, and I'm talking more of like the New Testament more so. Some of the Old Testament, I understand, like people get caught up on the Old Testament and stuff, and they say, oh, it's hypocritical, blah blah blah. Okay, the morality explained in books like the Bible explain that human beings have a tendency towards evil. All right, we have a nature of evil, and there's certain things that we can do in our own morality that will kind of turn that around. All right, there's certain ways to act, there's certain ways to be in the world, and if we just be, then we'll find, if we can be correctly, we'll find ourselves solving a lot of these unthinkable, unbelievable problems that we've been having. All right. When we get down to the nitty gritty of things, I want to suggest that most of this strife and turmoil and depression and anxiety and this and that and the third, all this tension that's building up, we're getting it because that's what we deserve as a society. That's what we built for ourselves. All right. Individually, we all got tricked and duped into partaking in this society in which we're basically sabotaging ourselves. That's what we're doing. All right. A lot of people don't even recognize that. Like, for one, just to put it out there, we're going to play this video real quick of Katelyn Nicole Davis saying some things. All right. Now we're going to come back on the other side. All right.
And a little hint of advice. Don't tell an insecure, depressed, freaking death person to strip, because that is very disrespectful. Especially because y'all were like, I don't know, like 20 plus. No, I'll say like 18 plus, and I'm 13. That's very disrespectful and very rude, and I don't do that. I'm not stripping for y'all. I don't need y'all. I really don't. I don't need to strip for y'all. So, like, I'm not stripping.
You don't like that? Oh well. Go look up a freaking porn site and see some girls strip. I'm not doing it. Okay? I'm not doing it. Right? Sorry, I'm just not like that. I'm not like that. I've got too much self-respect. Don't tell someone to strip you hardly even know. Sex isn't for like just plain old pleasure. No. Sex and all that is supposed to be for love. Okay? Love. Not just get wet, get out. Get in, get wet, get out. No, it's love. You're supposed to do it for love. Not just for pleasure. It's bullshit. Look, if you got a girlfriend, Becky, you need to be true to her. You need to be with her. You need to show her, like, you need to respect her. Okay? You need to respect. Need to respect. Okay? You need to respect. But not better than you. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Every girl has her flaws. Every girl has her perfections. Except Amy. So you need to stay true. You're lucky you have her. You're lucky you have a girl. I mean, like, think like that. You need to respect her. You're looking so hot. I'm taken. You can't get me. Like, I don't cheat. And you shouldn't either, bro. Like, I hate to, like, degrade you or whatever you want to call it, but don't cheat on your girl. Your girl loves you. Be true to her. Be true to your girl. Because you lucky you got her. She probably going through shit. And you just don't know it.
Alright. I found this particular excerpt to be very, very interesting. Like I said, you can find it on Celeste Who Knows, her channel. Katelyn Nicole Davis. Today would be her 15th birthday. You can find it at about 4 minutes, 30 seconds in. Katelyn Nicole Davis going over this. Now, it's very insightful. She says it in a childish way, but what she's saying here needs to be taken to heart. Right? And I don't even think she went far enough because she's still a young child. She's trying to figure it out, what it is that, why she is believing this way. She might not even have it all hashed out yet. But I think what she's getting at is that there should be a certain kind of respect shown to a female. And vice versa, a female to a male. There should be some sort of respect shown, a very significant kind of respect that is not shown. Typically, in our society, it's just not shown. We don't have that, right? And just to be real brief about it, like, women are not respecting men. Men are not respecting women, vice versa. Men are not respecting them themselves. Women aren't respecting themselves. All right, we're taught not to respect ourselves. We're taught to not have respect for ourselves. All right, in different various ways, we're taught to seek pleasure. Right, by any means necessary and stuff like that. Oh, it's just what we do and stuff. We're out there seeking pleasure. We're out there to get this and that from a lady, or get this and that from a fella. All right, that's what we're out to do, and you know, the consequences be what they may. We're just gonna do what we want. Now, when it comes to the doctrine, say, of God and morality, we know full well that we shouldn't be carrying on this way. We know full well, no matter how much we lie to ourselves, that, oh yeah, this is the way, we found a new way, it's better than God's way. Oh, we found this way, oh, and it'll just be so much better. And then as time goes on, you see that break down. You see that to dissolve. And after so much time, it turns into an ugly, disgusting affair. All right, in which pretty much everybody suffers, to include and especially the children. They'll suffer the most. But that's what we made for ourselves. In that we can't even respect our own selves. And we certainly can't respect our wives and our husbands. We can't even respect the idea of marriage and the purpose of marriage. All right. So when our youngsters come up the way that they are, committing suicide, committing homicides and this and that, and basically just walling out in a lot of different ways, we could ask ourselves why that is. But in our hearts, we already know. That's what I'm here to suggest to you. It took me so long to figure that out. It took me the bulk of 30 years of my life to figure out just how wrong I was for trying to create a different way. For saying, oh man, God's way, that's pish posh. I could figure out a better way. No, you can't. And we never will. All right? Let's get on out of here. Children deserve protection. Children deserve the type of respect that we have never come close to showing them. All right? Something needs to be done about these children and these dire situations that they're put in. Might I suggest before I get out of here that seeking to reform, say, the justice system, that's not going to cut it. All right? I know it sounds like a great idea. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't reform the justice system. But I'm saying that our solutions lie in what we accept, what we find acceptable as a society. All right? The type of behaviors that we just go ahead and allow to take place in our society without, I'm not saying without punishing people physically, but we should, as a society, be fully capable and ready to call people out on their BS and say, look, you're living in a totally disgusting fashion. You shouldn't, for example, be marrying somebody else and bringing them into your child's home because you could wind up with an Anthony Lee Rogers in your house. And you could be creating a very dangerous and dastardly environment for your children. Right. Thing is, back in the day, people kind of already knew that. That's why if there was some lady or some man for that example, running around trying to carry on with different men or ladies and stuff, that was frowned upon. That was more than frowned upon back in the day. All right. Since then, everything's disintegrated. All right. Why? Because we're choosing our own way. We think we think we'll figure it out. We're gonna figure out a better way. Meanwhile, everything that's falling apart around us and all these child's lives that are becoming ruined because of it, we're gonna ask ourselves why. We're gonna ask ourselves how to change it. We're gonna ask the justice system if they'll reform themselves. All right. Probably not. Anyways, it's October the 27th, y'all, 2019. And I appreciate you for hanging out so long and stuff. And we're going to continue to follow this situation about as long as, the Lord allows. And shout out to everybody out there who might have come across this video. I got to say, as far as the updates go, I want to get more updates. We're going to cover the rest of these different characters. In fact, we're going to eventually take each and every individual that's involved in the Katelyn Nicole Davis saga as far as the main key players in that situation. And we're going to break down each and every one of their situations and how they're going to turn out. I forgot to mention, but it's always kind of a theme, is that what's going to be interesting to note is that our justice system is lacking. All right, to put it the best way, it's kind of lacking. All right. However, God, and I said it before, I'm going to say it 1,000 times. All right, I dare you to stop me. God is going to get justice regardless, and I don't mean maybe. All right, I've seen it enough to know that you're not going to escape off this earth without paying for what you did. It's not going to happen, and it never does happen. All right, So, look forward to that because we are going to discuss every last person who probably did Katelyn Nicole Davis wrong. And we're going to see how their life turns into a total disaster. That's what they deserved. That's what they get. All right. It's nothing we could do about it. Hey, it is just what it is. But God will have justice in the end. And that is more than a promise. So October the 27th at 2019.